Olá, hoje nós estamos aqui para falar com o professor Dominic Arsenault. Ele é diretor do curso de Games e Animação da Universidade de Montreal, no Canadá, e generosamente ele está aqui compartilhando o conhecimento dele conosco, né, com você, para que você possa saber um pouco mais desse mercado no Canadá, que é um país que é uma referência mundial, né, em animação e em games. Nós sabemos que o mercado brasileiro, ele anda muito bem no mercado de animação, os brasileiros estão se destacando e nós sempre tivemos também como referência o Canadá. Então eu vou deixar o professor falar conosco para a gente aprender um pouquinho mais sobre essa história da animação no Canadá, a influência deles atualmente no mundo. Dominique, we would like to know something about some information about the animation in Canada and how animation in games, how do they influence each other? So if you could tell us something, I would be very happy.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. The Canadian animation has really been known at the international level because of experimental animation, which has been supervised by the ONF, the Office National du Film, or in English the NFB, National Film Bureau. The NFB has produced animations by Norman McLaren, for instance, which was one of the figure points of Canadian animation. His vision was that animation films should experiment with form as well as touch on social issues, social subject matters. So this social preoccupation for animation has made Canadian animation films that were created in his heritage. They have been appraised in the whole world because themes like poverty and war and things like that are universal. And at the same time, they also influenced animators all around the world because of the variety of techniques that were used in making animation film. So Canadian animation is well known for that, but there's another aspect of Canadian animation that is usually not that well known, and it is the extensive work that has been done in Canadian animation with digital technologies. 3D modeling and computer graphics have been part of Canadian animation since a long time. In 1982, at the Université de Montreal, Montreal University, a group of researchers and students have created one of the first computer animated films, totally computer animated films. It was Vol de Rêve, which is a dream flight, I think in English, with 2D vectors creating a three-dimensional space. They have also created another short called Tony de Peltry, which is a pianist playing the piano. And then Daniel Langlois, an animator that worked on those films, created his own company, was called Softimage. And Softimage created some of the early 3D animation software that was used in Hollywood for big studios and big productions. Then there was also in Montreal another company called Taana Studios, and they were also one of the early computer-generated graphics companies to create animated films. Then in Ontario, there was also Alias Wavefront, which were two companies that merged together and they created the Maya software for digital animation. And then afterwards, these companies were bought or integrated in larger American companies with various movements, but there still remained a strong animation tradition, digital animation tradition in Montreal and Ontario. So along the St. Lawrence River in Canada, where most of the Canadian population is. In recent years, there was a company created that was called Hybrid Technologies. They worked on hybrid techniques for films and video games as well. They are now a property of Ubisoft, which is a video game company from France that was established in Montreal in 1997. So the technological convergence between film and games relies on animation. So if one wants to work in video games, it's not a bad idea to study cinema, but the better training one should have if they want to do game visuals and graphics is in animation. Digital animation is really the basis of video games. This explains as well why the video game sector emerged in Montreal, because there was a strong local industry, there was a strong local tradition, and there were multiple schools training students with use of digital technologies and images.
Wow, super. Thank you very much. I didn't know that Maya has been created in Ontario. It's a very important program for 3D animation.
Yeah, and all the special effects programs from Softimage in Quebec were like smoke and flame and things like that to make particle effects. They were all used in the biggest Hollywood movies of the 1990s, like Terminator 2, Titanic, and things like that.
Oh, very nice. Thank you very much, Dominic.
My pleasure.
E o que tem acontecido é que há uma necessidade de mão de obra no mercado. Nós necessitamos de mais animadores. Por isso eu incentivo você a investir na sua formação. Procure escolas no Brasil, escolas em Goiânia que estão ainda incipientes, né? Ainda estão começando as escolas aqui, mas procure escolas em games, escolas em animação, no Brasil, no exterior. E se você puder, vá para o Canadá, né? Que é um mercado e um centro de formação incrível. Vá, mais volte, que o Brasil precisa de vocês. Um abraço.